Last week we were shown our first alpha gameplay footage of Techtonica, so let's talk about what we've seen and why I'm really excited to get my hands on this and play it. Also, before we get started, the devs have kindly reached out to me and asked whether I'd be interested in seeing some more gameplay footage, whilst at the same time talking to one of their game developers about the gameplay. And we'll probably do this in stream, so keep an eye for more information about this over the coming week. And if you have any budding questions about Techtonica that you want answering, make sure to pop them in the comment section below. Now, at first glance, some might think Techtonica to be a claustrophobic exploration factory game in the dark and dingy settings of the caverns of Calyx. And though it is set underground, it couldn't be further from the truth. So far, the world is lit up with beautiful flora glowing bright in the darkness, but the caverns feel very open and quite large. And if they're still too small for you, I mean, we can always mine them with the mole machine, but more on that later. Today's gameplay shows a small selection of the flora that's harvestable in-game, which once picked will need to be placed in planters to grow. This allows for the automation of these harvestable plants, some of which will power your machinery, which will be used to harvest ore veins, for example, which means setting up a plantation of these plants is going to be really important early game for us. As for the other plants, I've no idea, so let me know what you think they're used for. If you do want access to the alpha game, they are going to be doing a little alpha launch over on their Discord in the upcoming future, so you may get an opportunity to play it if you join them. The link is below. Along with the rusting machine, we can see a handful of lights that are scattered around. Now, I believe these are craftable and placeable, allowing us to light up the darker areas, and I really do hope that these pieces of rusting machinery are actually salvageable towards the resources that we're going to need to build, for example, these drills. Now, they have what looks like 3 interchangeable outputs or inputs, 1 on the side and 2 behind. Now, I presume 1 is going to be for fuel and the other 2 can be up to 2 different resources when ore veins converge together, but I could be mistaken. So for example, if there's copper and ore in the iron ore in the same deposit, that it can harvest both of them from separate outputs. Now, a lot of people are concerned about ore veins being limited in this game. I'm certainly interested to see how the ore veins deplete and whether we'll regularly have to rebuild them to reach deeper into the ore veins. This is certainly more similar to Factorio, and thus, for me at least, a challenge that I'm really interested and looking forward to dealing with. When grabbing resources from the machines, we can select individual or groups of machines to withdraw the resources, which will save us a lot of time in game. We can also see here that the machines have been removed, so let's hope that they do give resources when we do salvage them. We're also going to be dealing with inserters in this game, which is another welcome similarity for Factorio fans. We can also see a placed smelter, and this, similar to other factory games, is the first stage of automation. I'm glad to see by the looks of it, the inserters don't seem to use fuel in order to run. And on the other side, we also have only a single input for the ore turning it into the iron ingots. So I'm wondering how this is actually powered, whether that's by fuel or potentially something else. I'm also quite interested in how this conveyor system runs and how it's placed. You can see that it's brought along a straight line, and then it kind of holds this position as they change direction as well. Unlike in Satisfactory, where you have to place it down and then change the direction. We also have 2 of these portable miners, I want to say, these portable drills, feeding this one smelter, which is obviously too much. You can see by the end of this it's starting to saturate up. It would be interesting to see if we can use the second input on the smelter so that it runs at the same speed of a drill, or whether we're just going to have to add more smelters to the manifold there. Slightly further into the game, we have the assemblers on top of foundations. These are what will produce the next tier of resources, and at this point I want to draw your attention to the supercomputer, I say supercomputer, the computer screen behind the machines stating please service. Now, my guess is that this is actually going to be our contact with the outside world, or maybe for the research later on. It's, I presume, similar to the space elevator in Satisfactory, which Here it requires us to fix it and potentially then produce items for the company that we're working for and sending them off. It's just a guess, but it makes sense to me, at least in terms of where this story might go. Joey then states that the assemblers are powered, and this could mean that they have a buffer of fuel, or that machines can be powered based on how far they are from a power source, but with little on show here, I can't say for certain. Joey then goes to hook this assembler up with the next one, and I'd love to find out if we could actually place an inserter in between the two and close that gap to see if the inserter takes the item straight from the first assembler into the second one. We can tell that the assemblers here can be used for various production tasks, and though Joey goes off to connect the copper smelters to the second assembler, we can actually see upon return that the first assembler is producing rods and cogs, which the second assembler is taking alongside the copper ingots. What do you think is the material that they're producing here? Let me know in the comments below. And at this point, we're shown off the mole. This is the mining tool which will allow you to obliterate the rock around you, or eventually later on replacing terrain or leveling out terrain should you wish. This is what we're going to strive to unlock. We're then shown off a bit more of the factory further along in the game. On the left hand side we actually have a storage unit, this little yellow box here, and then you can see along the line in front of us are the plants that have been automated and harvested, heading along a manifold feeding the assemblers, which could be what's powering them. There's also a cavern above in this shot which shows us some of the verticality in the game, as we're going to have to scale up and down to get hold of all the ore veins that are going to be made available to us. Now I'm super excited to see where this game heads and to learn more about it, and it's definitely something that I'm going to be covering in the future. But do let me know your most budding questions for this game, and perhaps we'll get them answered in the coming weeks on the Discord, and I'll let you know. Thanks goes to our supporters, most notably our Solo-Eclipse patrons, The Calamity, Cerebral Tag, James Irwin and Firefless, as well as our Lunas, Dixie Chris, Lord of July and Ben, as well as our Blood Moon, Chick Norris. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.